One bro speedrunners, noobs and elites, welcome once again. It's the Idiot Gamer Podcast! Welcome to episode 15 of the Idiot Gamer Podcast. With me here today is Mr. Matthew Angel.
Hello.
It's an IG cuddle, just the two of us.
It is, because Andy's now a local radio celebrity.
He is.
And Matt Holland has a basement full of water. So.
I wonder if he still does. Best wishes, Matthew.
Yeah.
Andy's using his podcast fame to do some real radio, in inverted commas.
Yeah. It's fake radio, because this is the future.
Exactly. So. We're here keeping it real.
Yeah.
And in the news this week are a couple of interesting things. Matt, tell me what is going on with this Destiny nonsense.
Well, it went free to play on PS Plus.
Free?
Yeah.
You mean it's free?
Yeah, so Bungie aren't getting any more money out of people.
I don't believe you.
You're right, because the Forsaken expansion is now out. It's much like the base game. It's got glowing reviews and it's saying, it fixes all the problems that Destiny 2 had, despite the fact that when the reviews for Destiny 2 came out, they said, this is amazing. And then 3 months later, everyone hates it again. So
yes.
It was interesting. I took a look at Metacritic, and when it first came out, all the reviews were like greens in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when the the PC version came out a few months later, it was all like beige, sort of 50s, because people had got bored of it. And
I played it for a bit. I did get bored of it.
Yeah, and this is what they do. They sell a very limited lifespan game, get a lot of money out of it, and then they actually release another full price expansion to try and keep the money rolling in, because they're money grabbing assholes.
That does sound about right.
Yeah, but people still buy it. And
what's in this Forsaken thing then that's
I don't
getting
know.
everyone excited?
There's already controversy, because it's got a weapon in it that people who bought the base game had to work really hard to get. And they said, we don't like the fact that it's only these top level players who've got this gun, so we're going to release it in the expansion. And obviously all those top level players are just like, you what?
So some people that have been grinding for years now...
Yeah.
And everyone's got this gun now.
There's moaning about like shaders and loot and stuff. I don't really get it. But,
okay.
But yeah, I started to think about the people still buy it. I banished one of my colleagues from the office for trying to talk about it the other day.
Thou shalt not talk about Destiny 2.
Yeah, it was like, just get out. But I get the feeling if they were the villagers, like if Destiny 2 were the villagers in The Boy Who Cried Wolf, they would still be believing this boy who's crying wolf, because Bungie are shouting wolf and everyone's going off and buying it. So
the problem is that these games, as we've discussed many times before, are the result of an incredibly clever and carefully produced psychological game that locks you into wanting to play it, even though you don't really want to play it anymore. Yeah, and all of these things, like you say, so they make it free to play. They're going to get a load more people playing. They're going to get a load more people hooked onto that thing. And then people are going to spend 50 quid to change their suit from blue to green.
But I think I find it more like horrible that Bungie are doing it this way, because if you look at the way Blizzard are terrible for this sort of stuff normally, but what they've done with Overwatch and what whoever does Fortnite does, I always forget. Epic Games. They did free updates to keep it interesting, whereas Bungie always want 30, 40 quid to continue your enjoyment. That's true, the
expansions are paid for, aren't they?
It's very much the EA or Activision or Ubisoft way of going, and typically Blizzard have done the same. But
well, in more positive news, Spider-Man came out this week. Marvel's Spider-Man. And it went straight to the top of the charts and has smashed all records for this year. So, best-selling game of the year.
Yes.
After the result of some pretty positive reviews on various websites and all over the place. There was one thing that came out this week, is that loads of people have been finding Easter eggs and cool stuff as they go around the city. The photo mode is wicked, and loads of people are posting great photos. The best ones I've seen have been the ones of... Spidey like thumbs upping by Ben Parker's grave.
Yeah, I saw that one where it was just like, hey.
So those have been very popular on the Reddit.
And everyone loves the finger guns. You can
The
go
finger
around
guns, you go around doing finger guns, which is very cool. But there was one Easter egg that had a slightly sad story attached to it.
Really? Was it the real Uncle Ben? They found his body.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that dark.
Turns out that Aunt May is actually Spider-Man's mum, but with Lex
I'm not
Luthor.
sure I like the Aunt May. Have you met her yet? You haven't played it, have you?
No,
I didn't even tell you this. I bought it. I own it.
I cancelled my pre-order, not through a will to not play it, but because there's far too many games out at the moment.
Yeah, I just got bored the other day, and I was in Tesco, and I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And I thought then, because I'm going, like, I've got some work stuff happening over the next couple of weeks, but then I thought when I get back, it'll be there.
Yeah.
And I can have started, so I have started, and it's pretty cool. One thing that did annoy me was after like 10 minutes, there was a Stan Lee cameo, and I was like, damn you, Marvel!
Now, Andy,
stop it with your Stan Lee.
Was it Andy or Matt Holland who gave me a load of grief for not liking Stan Lee cameos?
There's just so many of them now.
But also, it's starting to become a little bit cringeworthy.
It was also like Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Stan Lee, which is the worst Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's this Easter egg, which is pretty cool. So you're wandering around, and on, outside a cinema, you get the films up on that big board. Instead of having the film names on the board, it's got such and such, will you marry me?
Oh.
And it turned out that this was something that one of the developers asked if he could put in. So they put it in, and it was supposed to be this thing, and then he sent his girlfriend like a link or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was going to be, when the game released, I can send her this link, she'll go to the thing and she'll see the thing. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
She dumped him 2 weeks before the game came out.
Amazing.
So now it's still in there.
For Uncle Ben's corpse. I've just got to jump in case anyone... I'm aware Lex Luthor is in DC. I was joking about him basically being Father-Man Spider? Spider-Man's father.
Who the fuck is Father-Man Spider?
Well, it's like Fathers for Justice. You know, they all dressed up as superheroes. One of them was called Father-Man.
Oh, dear. Yeah, so that was a rather sad little one. But... I love the fact that they allowed him to do it.
I'm just thinking the last time that a woman in the gaming community dumped a male, it started Gamergate.
Come on now. You've always got to go dark, Matt. Got to go dark.
I'm just saying, they're not known for the most rational of responses, the men who work in the games industry.
No, that is true. But in this case, this guy was unjustly maligned, I feel. Poor bloke.
But he might have inserted her grave into the game as well.
Why are you constantly talking about graves?
Well, you started it with Uncle Ben's grave.
Very strange. But yes, so Spider-Man's out, and despite Matt's slightly sort of film noir view of it, it's actually a very colourful and very nice game.
Can you imagine a film noir version of Spider-Man?
It's pretty good. You can do that in the photo mode. Nice. Yeah. So
I will buy it once
you can visit all the
games.
Gravestones you want to visit, my friend.
It's just like I'm going to do a whole series. Matt visits graves in Spider-Man.
There's quite a few churches. Just talk about Spider-Man for a minute. It looks amazing.
It does.
It does look fucking incredible. And just going around the city, you can traverse the city using your web swing in a very simple way. Yeah. So basically, you just hold down right 2, and you'll just swing around. Which is pretty sweet.
You don't have to keep one of the criticisms I heard was that people were saying that their finger was getting really achy.
You can literally hold it down and push forward, and it will swing all the way through.
Okay.
But he'll do it in like in a less exciting fashion, right? He'll just kind of swing his way through.
If you sort of like.
You can zip from building to building or change it up or whatever. Yeah, nurse the button, release it, and click it back on. But if you're just trying to get somewhere and you're not really paying full attention or whatever, you can just hold down R2 and it'll web swing his way there.
It seems like it should have some sort of auto swing function where you can just press a button and go to make a cup of tea. And he just keeps going.
Well, the map is huge, so you wouldn't really complain about that because the map is massive. And at one point, and I'm still on that, like at the start of a lot of RPG type games, the first string of missions are all strung together, so it gives you the illusion that you're in the open world already, I was going to ask, really it's tying them together.
So is the whole world open to you at the start?
It is. I could just wander off and do whatever I want to do, but the first few missions, like as soon as you finish one mission, you start having a swing around.
Yeah.
You get a message like, "Oh, you should go and do this thing. You should go and do this." So it's really trying to teach you all the different stuff.
But it's not like if you go too far, you die. Like
no.
In
You could
games.
fuck it all off completely.
Yeah.
And at one point, because there's a bunch of collectibles, and I'm a bit of a sucker for just wandering around collecting stuff. If traversal is fun, that's what I did in Crackdown. Just spent the whole time just searching for orbs.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on Infamous, the original one, just doing that because it was so fun getting around the city.
Yeah, so you'll probably get the same thing from this. So at one point, I was just like, I'm just going to go and find somebody's backpacks and just swinging around and finding a load of them. But it's really at the moment, I'm in that early stage where everything is cool. Yeah. Like everything you do is like, oh, that's wicked. And you can drop in, and whenever you see you do have to hit towers. So you hit these towers and it unlocks a certain area. Not for you to go there, but it just shows up shit.
So
that
that Assassin's Creed style.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but there isn't really a fog because you can just fly around wherever you want and see stuff.
But I think it was the same in Assassin's Creed,
Maybe,
wasn't it? Where it just wouldn't show you what missions were available.
Yeah, that's what this is. Yeah, so it's a bit Ubisofty, but it's fine. And once you do that, then in those areas, you'll be able to see any crimes that are going on, and irregardless of any story or anything, there's just constantly crime.
What sort of
on.
crime?
They're usually holding up a jewelry store, or someone's getting mugged. Or I had one instance where a snitch was being taken down by some mobster types. It's pretty cool.
Did you let that one go? Because everyone knows snitches get stitches.
Snitchels get stitchels.
Yes.
I let her go, and I told her to go because she looked in a bad way. So Spidey told her to go and sort herself out. You can go to this refuge, right, and get some help.
Surely she should go into witness protection because she's not going to last long.
No, Spider-Man does not follow any police procedure whatsoever.
Really?
He literally, he knows that she was a snitch, right? And then he beat up all these mobsters. He just leaves them like lying in the street, says to her, oh, you should probably go and get some free soup from this place, and then fucks off. And then it turns out that the place that he told her to get the free soup
was
from,
a mob stronghold.
No, that would have
would have been brilliant.
No, it was Aunt May's charity thing. So really, it was just a story tie-in because he's like, oh yeah, now I might go and see Aunt May. It's like, oh yeah,
and there she is getting beaten up by the mobsters who work for Aunt May.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know what kind of operation she's running, but it was a very busy shelter. Put it that way.
I wish it had some sort of development to his crime fighting. So, did you ever watch One Punch Man?
Yes, I heard about. I didn't watch it, but I heard about.
So they've effectively got levels of superheroes, and the different levels determine what crimes you go after. And it'd be brilliant if at the start of the game you're only going after jaywalkers and people who are using one-way systems incorrectly.
Yes,
and then you build up to just like blue-collar crime and stuff.
That might be good because I find the Spidey to be quite weak to begin with.
Weak. But he's got all his skills.
He does have all of his skills, and he is supposed to be like well into his crime-fighting career. But I was dying a lot, and now I realise that I am shit, and I don't pretend otherwise.
Have you turned the difficulty way down?
I've now turned it way down, and I still die. I still die on the like idiot level of difficulty. So I think, mate, I'm doing something wrong. I'm basically button mashing. Fair enough. Any criticism that comes my way, I fully accept. But it is quite hard. You've got to focus on the guys. Like, there are certain baddies that are shooting guns at you, whatever.
Yeah, take them out first.
Yeah, take those bastards out first. But I'm still yet to really get to grips with the skill tree and everything, because within the first 10 minutes of the game, there is just like a million things going on.
Brilliant.
It's like, there's this thing. You can upgrade this thing with tokens. You can upgrade this thing with a different type of tokens. You can do this with this. And after a while, I was just clicking through the menus like, fuck this. I'm never going to remember any of this stuff.
You've just mentioned tokens.
Tokens.
Yeah.
In-game currency. There doesn't seem to be any kind of...
There's no pay...
It's XP, basically.
But there's no way of...
No, not that I'm aware of. No, I think it's just XP, but different varieties of XP.
Good work.
It seems that there's like 8 or 10 different modifiers that you can do to improve your skills or your base levels or whatever. But I haven't yet really worked out what I want to do with any of it. So so a lot of the skill upgrades I haven't done yet.
Okay.
There's one skill upgrade where you can do tricks while you're web swinging. Yeah, it's pretty good. So
I'm guessing that doesn't add anything other than excitement to you as you're playing.
No, and you can get some regular XP by doing it, which is quite cool. So I got that one, but all the other stuff I'm not really sure about yet. There are suit upgrades, there are gadget upgrades, and then there's another one that I can't remember.
I've got to ask, because obviously in like Arkham Asylum, Batman's not killing the people. Yes. Is it implied that Spider-Man is killing these people,
it's never said? It's sort of implied, because all of the interactions you have, you just kind of beat them up and leave them on the floor.
You leave them on the floor, because Batman would certainly like leave them with a like note attached to them outside the police station or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's working with this cop called Yuri, and she is always on the phone to him, like, go here, go there, solve help these guys out. With
I've heard she's a very strong character.
She is a strong character, and but she's basically getting Spider-Man to do the fucking police work for her. Yeah. I mean, that's really what's going on.
Do you reckon she's claiming overtime for that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because Spidey's not getting paid for shit.
she's going, oh, can you work late tonight? We've got this robbery to solve. And she's just like, yes, not a problem. And she goes home, puts her feet up, and then like rings Spider-Man and just goes, there's a jewelry store, and like, you know.
Is he underage? I can't remember. How old is he?
Well, I watched Spider-Man Homecoming today.
Yeah.
And he was 14 in that. So let's say he's 14.
Oh, crikey. That is young. He shouldn't be allowed to be working.
But also a police officer sending him out there. That sounds...
It's questionable.
Yeah, very questionable.
It's highly questionable. So you're swinging around. This is the best review of Spider-Man ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what we're talking about anymore. But Spider-Man is swinging around. He's doing his thing. He's doing all the upgrades and bits and bobs. And I'm following through a fairly linear story thing in a minute, whilst opening up all of this other stuff.
Nice.
But I guess I played for like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
So I'm not really massively into it yet, but it is very good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy it, but I'm waiting till all the other games are like out of my system. So.
Yes, that's a good plan. Talking of which, we will take a very, very short break, and then we're going to come back, and you're going to tell me about all of the various games you've been playing, because you've been on quite a few, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked for a few weeks, so
that is true. And I've played another game as well.
I think we may have played the same.
I think
game.
we might have done.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Right, so Matt, you have been playing some new games, but before we get on to those exciting games that you've been playing, let's talk about a game that we both played.
Okay.
So we both played 2 Point Hospital.
We did, and you know my view on it.
I do.
I haven't heard your view on it.
Okay.
So what did you think?
I thought it was exactly what my brain remembers Theme Hospital to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So probably if I played Theme Hospital now, it'd be terrible.
Yeah.
But in my head, like 2 Point Hospital did nothing new. I was like, I'm just playing Theme Hospital.
Yeah.
So in that respect, and I know that's really what it was trying to do, perfect job.
Yeah,
it did an amazing job.
It's like if you just gave it a graphical upgrade and a few little tweaks, like you can change the room shape.
Yes,
whereas
that helps.
Historically,
yes,
it was like...
but everything that I kind of wanted to do, and I've only played the first level, a little bit of the second one.
Yeah.
Everything I wanted to do and all the little things that I was like, oh, will it let me do this? It let me do all of them, basically. So all the little bits and bobs that I wanted to do. I don't know if it had the janitors thing on Theme Hospital.
But they weren't quite as in-depth.
Because I quite like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I do as well.
That you've got this constant like issue of machines breaking and having to deal with that on one level, and then every so often you get these incoming events. It's like, certain hospital has lost their light bulb wing, and you need to come in and you need to solve all the light bulb cases. It's like, awesome. And then a whole bunch of people come, you need to be prepared for it. That's
absolutely.
very cool.
I really like. Also, what I really liked was that it doesn't punish you for making a mistake.
No.
So in most of these games, it'd be like, oh, you've built something for like, £100,000 or something, and oh, you've put it in the wrong place. You need to delete that and then build it again for 100,000. This one will just let you move the entire thing, reshape it, do whatever you want.
That is very helpful, because I found that as I was going along, especially the first time you play it, you're learning, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to be able to move. You don't want to be like living in this really fucked up hospital because you made one mistake on the first 10 minutes you played. So in that respect, I think very, very good.
Yeah. It doesn't really signpost that, but you learn it quite quickly when you start going, oh, God. I mean, I don't know about you, but the first thing you have to do is build a GP office. And it says, right, minimum is 3x3. And I was like, well, minimum, screw that. And I did like a 15 by 6. And then I put all the stuff in. And it was just like basically in just one corner. And I'm just like... Oh, and I thought maybe I can put another desk in there so you can have my... No. So I was like, oh, God, I've made this giant... And it turns out you can just delete half
resize
of
it. It's very good. And I did really enjoy that. And as you start playing it, you realise what the requirements are for the different things.
Yeah.
And then there's in-game currency again, which you can use to spend stuff on.
Yeah.
But what I found with that was that you're basically buying buffs in a lot of cases, which is quite cool. So you can buy like a painting that goes on this wall that will buff the effectiveness of that room. And so after a while, I was like, I'm going to start buying all this stuff and buffing all these different things. And I quite like the way that works, that you do an unlock and then it still has a monetary value. So like you've got your unlock, you can use it in any hospital you want, and then you can build up your library really of all that stuff. It's really cool.
And I like the fact that all these unlocks are like, all nice little things you can put in to make your hospital look a bit nicer. Yeah. So.
And when the I had the inspector dude come round.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
And he pops up and he assesses the hospital, and if you're doing well, you're going to get a bonus, and if you're not doing well, you're not going to get shit.
Yeah.
But I like the way that he comes round. First of all, that his little animated guy comes around and does double thumbs up.
Yeah.
He's like, well, happy. But I also like the way that he's disappointed if you haven't made any improvements.
Yeah.
Like, you might have everything working perfectly, but what he's looking for is you to have improved on last time. So you can't get complacent. You've always got to be doing something.
That is something that you will experience. Those people must have worked in some sort of either healthcare or restaurant or even science, because where I work, we have a similar thing where you get an audit. And even if it's really good, next year they want you to have improved, and it's very, very similar.
Yes.
So that's actually quite realistic.
But, it's like a lesson in Kaizen.
What I love is you watch him and he's just having a jolly old time rummaging through the bins and all sorts. It's just like goes into the toilets, has a look around.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice thought that's gone into the animations and everything else. It's really cool. And although it is like Andy would say, it's like work, I've got to keep doing all these things. He's not his, so he can't fucking defend himself.
Yeah, indeed.
But I actually found it to be fairly relaxing.
It's
not, you can choose the pace because you've got the 3 different speeds.
I had one time, like in one of the easy hospitals, where I was just having people dying left, right, and centre. And the worst thing is, I didn't feel bad. I was just going, oh well,
let them die.
Oh, they're just getting hoovered up.
Yeah, as long as you've got a janitor that can hoover them up Ghostbusters style, you're
yeah.
absolutely fine. So yeah, 2 Point Hospital, I think that will be a game that I will just kind of tick away on every now and again. It's a kind of last minute at night, I'll have a few minutes on there. It's quite nice.
It kind of links into one of the games that I've been playing. Obviously, I've been playing 2 Point Hospital, but another game, which is Dragon Quest 11 came out. And obviously, I've been talking about this at length. Because,
we've asked you many times about it. I still don't understand it.
Well, Dragon Quest 8 was one of the greatest JRPGs of all time. This one is not quite as good as the other one. I would say it's not as good as 8, but that doesn't make it a bad game. And I was thinking that about 2 Point Hospital as well, is that it's okay to have a game that's just, it's really nice to play. It's not the greatest game ever made. It's not the worst game ever made. And I was thinking about this because when I look at Metacritic, which I look at a lot, user scores are generally either 0s or 10s. The people who like the game will give it a 10, and the people who don't like the game will give it a 0.
Yes, it's a zero-sum game. Yeah,
so
most
effectively
of those people.
you get a 6 or something usually, or a 3 or something, depending on how unpopular it is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because Dragon Quest did what I ragged on Ni no Kuni 2 a bit, and I'm still massively disappointed by that game because it deteriorated from what the first one was, and any game should not. It wasn't even a graphical improvement.
We're talking about constant improvement here.
Yeah.
Kaizen, get Kaizen on.
Well, but the graphics weren't even better. It was a downgrade on that, and the gameplay was worse. Whereas with this, the gameplay is almost identical, but it feels a bit shallower.
Right.
But it's still a lovely, pleasant experience. Jim Sterling said that. He said it's a fine game. It's a pleasant thing to play. And like 2 Point Hospital, it's something I'm going to dive in and out of because it's such a pretty game, and it's. There's no real hatred in that game. Even even the bad guys kind of have a good reason for doing what they're doing. It's like and all the monsters in it are just funny and cute and stuff like that. And it's just a pleasant game.
How much audio content? How much like spoken lines are there for the baddies, or is it mostly text?
There's a lot of cutscenes at the start. It's very slow going, and that's all voiced. The main protagonist doesn't speak at all.
Okay.
But all the other characters do speak.
Okay.
And sometimes they're a little like they've all got British. It was the same, I think, in Ni no Kuni, the first one, where one of the main guys had a thick Welsh accent. In these, they've all got thick, sort of English dialects to them. So there's like,
cool.
or British, like so. Yeah. So there'll be like Newcastle accent. There'll be a West Country accent and stuff, and it's just really nice. But it can get a little bit draining. Like,
but it is well voiced then.
Really well voiced, and it's really pretty. It's the first game that I've thought, I wish I had a PS Pro for this.
Okay, nice.
And I'm just enjoying it. It's just a lovely place to be.
How is the combat?
Very good.
Yeah.
It's the same as it's turn-based combat,
yeah.
But they've done this thing where you can actually turn it so you only control the main character.
Oh,
and
that's
all the other
quite nice. Yeah, so you don't have to go through all the other different.
But I want to control them all. But it gives me that option.
Okay.
And quite frankly,
cool.
I do not know why. Like Final Fantasy is the worst for this, turning it into an action RPG.
Yeah.
Where they can't just go, okay, you can do this if you want, but we're going to give you this option of just going through a list of your commands and stuff. And I don't know why more games don't do that.
Yes.
And it's lovely with regards.
How does it compare then? Because you recently also played Octopath Traveler.
I did.
On the Switch. How does this compare to Octopath?
They're very, very similar in terms of, but their reference points are different. So Dragon Quest XI is an update of an old style of JRPG from the sort of PS2 era.
Right.
It's that sort of level, and it's lovely for that because it keeps the turn-based combat, it keeps the loveliness of that, it just updates the graphics really. Whilst, like I said, being a bit shallower, it's got rid of a few options that I would have loved to have in it. Octopath Traveler is effectively the equivalent, but of a SNES RPG.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, it's turn-based combat. The combat's actually much deeper in that because it's got this system where each enemy has a break value, and if you hit that break value, they skip a turn if they're turn-based combat.
Yeah.
And so you can decide whether you want to hit an enemy just to stop them from attacking the next turn, or whether you want to go after some of the other ones because they're more of a threat. Yeah. It's got the sort of shallowness that you'd expect from a SNES game in terms of it's very repetitive. It's like the storylines aren't particularly good. I hate the graphics because it's pixel art.
Yes.
But in spite of that, because of the turn-based combat and on the go, it's fantastic. So I the only quibble I've really got is the fact that A, it's a little bit shallow, and B, the pixel art. But other than that, it's what I want out of a portable RPG.
Whereas Dragon Quest is a much deeper affair.
Yes, absolutely. Although it takes a long time to open up. It's very much like Final Fantasy 13, I think it was, where it's just like linear for the start and then it opens up. Yeah. And I'm hoping they'll get a few more things, because on the previous one, you could collect the enemies that you were going after.
Yep.
And then you could fight them in this arena and stuff. And I don't think it does that anymore.
Pokemon style.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lovely game. It's not the greatest game of all time, but it's well worth, if you like RPGs, especially cutesy, like Pixar style ones. This is far better than Ni no Kuni 2.
Nice. Well, there is another game
that
you've been playing that I very much want to hear your opinion on. Another pixely game.
Yeah.
I was very tempted by this, but haven't made the jump yet, is Dead Cells.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Just like I saw some people streaming it. I love the graphic style because although it is pixely, it isn't really. It's like using that as a kind of foil, because it's a beautiful looking game, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I wish the menus were a bit less snazzy.
Oh, I haven't seen the menus.
The menus are a little bit sort of like typical pixel art sort of stuff. But in game, the pixels are so small that it actually flows. It's almost like a sort of, I don't know, it's natural and it feels lovely. And it actually works really well.
It looked almost a little bit like sort of Prince of Persia style, which I always thought looked very cool.
And the reason I didn't buy it originally was the art style, and because I'd seen a lot of screenshots of the menu screens and stuff like that, and that put me off a little bit. Yeah, and also there were constant references to Dark Souls.
Right. Okay.
And those two things put me off, and I wish they hadn't.
But this is like Metroidvania type affair, right?
Well, it's got three real sort of influences.
Okay.
So the main one is a sort of Metroidvania style crawl, although it's slightly different. So
you go into dungeons, you die, you go back to the start, you find another dungeon. They're randomly generated.
Well, that's one of the other influences. So that's the sort of roguelike element of it. Yeah. And then you've obviously got the Dark Souls elements. Now, what they've managed to do is take all of the non-crap parts of Dark Souls and use them. They've taken, the best bits of sort of Metroidvania, although it's interesting because in Metroidvania you'll have the whole map will be like connected to one another. Yeah. And you just can't get to bits of it until you find the thing that you need to get to. I've talked a bit about that with Zelda sort of games, where I love that thing where you get something that opens up something you've seen previously.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But in this, it's like small sections. So you start off in a prisoner's quarters, and then you can find a door somewhere and you go to the next level. But if you die, you go all the way back to the start. Now, the difference between this and other roguelikes, because it does have that sort of randomness of the levels, so you don't really get that bored of them because they're slightly changing, but they've always got the same enemies and the same sort of exits and stuff like that on there. But they're not necessarily in the same place. Now, with the actual roguelike elements, you can actually you collect these sort of cells, which are a bit like souls in Dark Souls.
Okay.
And if you get to the end of a zone, you can spend them on like different weapons. You can spend them on permanent upgrades and things like that.
Okay, cool.
And those actually start off at the weapons don't start, they're randomly dropped, but actually you can spend your cells on better weapons. So effectively, the more you play it, better weapons will drop.
Better each round is going
and
to be.
also you can get things like you don't start off with any heals. You can spend cells to have one heal per like for the whole dungeon.
Yeah.
For each dungeon. And then gradually you can get 2, gradually 3. And what this means is it's almost impossible at the start of the game, because you start off with either a bow, a shield, or a sword, like 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
And they're really basic. And then you drop other stuff and you get better. It's impossible, I think, to beat Dead Cells on your first go.
Right. Yeah,
Because
okay,
effectively you're making the game easier for yourself by playing
that's
more.
quite good though, because it means that there is some benefit to playing and dying.
And what's amazing is there have been times where I have felt massively OP in some of these things. So I have gone through 2 or 3 of these levels, just absolutely wiping the floor.
Just
without
because
getting
that game's weapon drop was really good.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
but then you get onto the 4th one and you go, I'm massively underpowered and stuff like that.
Nice.
And gradually it opens up new things. So it's constantly throwing more and more things, but it also drops things like, so for example, you start off with a double jump, but then you get to activate these vines that go up. So that opens up different places, not just in the whole game, but in the maps you've already like played. So you've seen this thing.
That's cool.
And there's multiples of these. I'm still nowhere near. But what's lovely is at the start in the dungeon, you've got these little glass things hanging from the ceiling, and that has a space for every item in the game. So you can see how many of the things you've done.
Oh, that's a nice
I have
touch.
played this for about, I would say, 30 hours.
Oh boy.
And I've got about a quarter of the stuff. And I'm still I absolutely adore this game.
And it's still fun to go back to.
Yeah. I played it for about 3 hours today.
Nice.
I bought it on the Switch
Yeah.
because I played it on the PS4 and I thought this is going to be brilliant portable. It actually showed up some of the problems I've got with the Switch, in that it doesn't have a decent D-pad, and you want a D-pad because with the analog stick you might occasionally make the wrong direction and that actually hurts you.
Gotcha.
But the key thing is it is difficult for the sake of it at the start, because it's supposed to be like, you're not powerful enough.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that I've died because the game has been too, unfair.
Yes. Yeah.
And because
it's not like Dark Souls where the camera will clip you into a fucking corner and you can't see anything.
And because I've died on that run, but I've got something, I've upgraded some weapons, or I've
you always get something.
You feel like you've progressed.
Nice.
So it's a lovely game.
Is there an end game of any kind? Like what?
There's a final boss.
What's the goal? What's the end goal?
Effectively, once you there's bosses all the way through this, and there is a final boss that you beat. But once you beat that, which I haven't yet, so I'm assuming, you still want to play it again, because you will unlock. I wouldn't surprise me if once you unlock the final boss, something else.
But if each level that you start with is randomly generated, how does it know when to like present the boss to you?
Right, okay. What I mean is the first level is the prison, for example.
Yeah.
And then you will be able to go to, I think it's the sewers. And then you go to the thing. So it's the style and the enemies will be the same.
Opening up different zones.
It is, but they're not all, in terms of you can't go back to that original zone. It's like a level. So once you go to that one, you can't go back to the original like prisoners' quarters or anything like that.
Okay.
But as you unlock more things, it will open up different ways of getting to the boss, or different things. So effectively, there's different exits you can take in different routes.
That sounds cool.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Is it rock hard?
Yes and no. In terms of, now that I've played it, I will get through the first 3 levels without even breaking a sweat.
Okay.
But then I like, it's touch and go whether I'll get through the 4th one.
Right.
And whereas the first time I played it, I died on the first level. And then it's one of those games where the more you play it, the less unfair it feels.
Yes. Okay. Nice. Very, very good. Well, that's very. I do quite like the sound of it, but I am just a little bit intimidated, to be honest. I'm not sure if I'm going to be. I'm worried that I might play it and be like, oh shit, that is too much.
Well, it's one of those games that I think on PS Plus will either come free at some point or will go down to like £6 or £7.
Right. Okay.
So I would wait for that. It might even go on the Switch. recommend it on the Switch for the amount of hours you're going to put in. But again, you probably need to buy a controller to play it if you want to play it well.
I've got the proper controller because I had that for when I was doing Zelda on the big screen. So I still found it impossible to play for long periods of time.
I've always maintained that action platformers should have a D-pad, and that is one of the problems with the Switch controller is that it's got those stupid buttons. So
I think the Pro controller has a proper D-pad, right?
Yeah. And I bought a cheap knockoff, and that's got a D-pad on it, and it's been brilliant. So
nice. Well, there we go. So what else is that? What's been on the docket recently? I think.
Yeah.
Now that I've got Spider-Man, that's obviously going to be taking up a fair bit of time. I've tried to convince myself, right, to not buy the new FIFA and not get involved in FIFA madness.
Right? Yeah, don't do it.
Because it's one of the. It's just like you're saying about Destiny. It's basically just a psychological trap.
That
I'm getting caught in, and I know it's pointless.
I'm starting to think the same thing about Football Manager 19 as well, where I'm just thinking I want to buy it, but do I need to? Of course, I don't.
The thing I find with all the football managers is that actually the new release is really just an excuse for me to get back into it again.
Yeah.
It's and I always enjoy it. That's the thing, and I always feel like it is. You do get your money's worth because you will play a shitload of hours of it, and it is enjoyable. You know? But do you need it?
No,
absolutely not.
I never used to buy FIFA or Pro Evo like 2 years running because I didn't think it was necessary.
Yes,
like,
it's a fair point.
I think if you're buying it every other year or every 3 years, you're going to see that change that is actually better. But
it's a fair point. I know that now these guys are trying to get you with the journey and that kind of stuff because that is an episodic thing that you want to play again the next year, and it's fine. But you play it for a couple of hours and that's the end of that.
I'm not going anywhere near it. But
no, I think I'm going to try and swerve it and put my time into some other stuff.
One thing about Spider-Man, which I did hear,
go on.
It may not be true, but I think it is that they announced DLC for it before the game. They did, released.
Yeah. I've forgotten what it's called, but there is DLC. Like on the PS Store page already for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. Is it? It's like a month. It's coming out or something. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is at all.
This is one step away from day one DLC. Which is
I was very surprised, and I thought of you because
Yeah.
I scrolled through the page. I ended up buying a physical copy in the end, but I scrolled through the page and I saw it there. Spider-Man on the left side of the screen, the right side of the screen, a little box.
Yeah,
with some other name on it, and you're like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. I'm a bit frustrated by it, but at the same point, I don't have to buy it. So
that is.
Although
true.
I do have acquisition disorder, where if I buy it, I will want that, and then I'll never play it to the point where I play the DLC. So
yeah, it's a fair point. So I think there's other stuff that's going to be coming out very soon, though. I think there's a whole bunch of shit that's going to be out within the next month. So Red Dead is obviously going to be out. You probably won't be buying that.
No, I will.
You will?
Well, if it's got online.
Oh.
And you guys are playing online, I will buy it.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, probably will be.
But I might take that as my opportunity to buy Spider-Man and wait and see whether you guys get into it and stuff. But
it's a fair
I'll
point.
Probably end up buying it. It might not be as terrible as the first game. So.
Also, one that I'm interested in is Forza Horizon 4, which I think I'll be getting. It's so relaxing. It's
boring.
It is. That's exactly why I like it. It's brilliant.
That's fair enough.
It's the best. It's my listening to podcasts and playing video games time because you don't have to have the sound or anything.
Yeah.
You can just listen to something else and just drive around.
Okay.
So I'll probably be doing that, and that might be an excuse for me to upgrade the video card in my PC.
Nice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the new RTX card's going to be coming out later this year.
Oh, cool.
And that might be an excuse to do that. I was talking to Andy the other day about how you convince yourself into doing these things. It's like you're saying, you see something and you don't need it at all.
Yeah.
But you end up tricking yourself into needing it, and then all of a sudden it becomes a major compulsion.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have to have it now, and then you're planning ahead what you're going to do.
The same thing happened when I bought my gaming PC because I was on there going, I've seen this one for like 900 quid, and then John started talking about, what you really need is this type of drive, and I was like, right, well now that adds 200 quid onto it, but now I've convinced myself I want my gaming PC.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, well, John's just made my life about £200 worse, hasn't he? And then he starts talking, and I'm like, right, you stop it now, John.
You stop saying things now. It's so easy to get yourself down a bloody rabbit hole.
But I don't feel the need to upgrade my PC now currently.
Yeah, yours is quite new still, so you're in a good spot.
It wasn't like top of the range, but it was like powerful as hell when I bought it, and I'm yet to find a game that it doesn't deal with really, really well on high settings.
Yeah,
So,
I think these days, like, it's way better than it used to be. Like, it used to be that graphics card would last you 1 year, and you're buggered straight afterwards.
Well, I think if you buy top of the range, the games are so far behind, like in terms of development, because they're not going to design it for 1% of the people to play.
Yeah,
they're going to design it for most.
There's
people.
usually just one game like Crisis that's designed for the 1%.
I remember that. It's like I remember trying to play it on a laptop.
Impossible.
And it was just like it played for about 30 seconds, then went no.
Yeah, it wouldn't run on anything. The other game that I'm really excited about for the PC, I think, because I'll probably get it on PC again, is the new Doom game. Because that was so good on PC last time, with like everything turned up full, super high frame rate. It was really cool.
It looks like they've gone a bit like that with Rage 2 as well. So you might be interested in that. It's not really. I don't think I'll get the new Doom. I didn't get too far into the original one. I enjoyed it, but it's not my sort of game anymore, really.
It's not me either, but it just got me for some reason. So I think I'll pick it up. But it is tempting on PS4 as well, because now I've got the Pro. I have noticed that games on the Pro are starting to look much more PC-ish.
Yeah.
They look like Spider-Man has that. I don't really know how to describe it, but when you play something on really high-res graphics with all the textures turned on the PC at a high frame rate, it has this much more physical feel to it. Objects feel more tangible and physical. And that was always what I felt lacked on consoles. Everything was a bit flat, But PS4 Pro really does that. So games have that more
I'm
physical
wondering
feel
if that's
to
the same thing where, because the PS Pro then came out, they only at that point did they start designing games for it. Or they wanted to see whether it sold enough to make it worthwhile. So
I think a lot of them are doing this dynamic resolution thing. So when it ups the res really high, which makes cutscenes and stuff look fucking
But if
amazing.
it's just upscaling rather than being designed for that, it can sometimes feel a little bit false, or it makes it look worse in some aspects.
Yeah, no, I think they know exactly what they're doing now. So a lot of them always have variable resolution running all the time.
But I think there was talk when it first came out of you know that scene in the King Kong that Peter Jackson did, where they're running away from dinosaurs, and it's clearly them in front of a green screen running away from it. And I heard some rumours that some of the original games that were upscaled for the PS Pro looked a bit like that, because effectively it looked fine when it was a bit fuzzy around the edges.
Yes.
But when as soon as you make it clear, it's just like, that does not look good.
Yeah, well, I remember there were some things that were like, we'll just up the rest of the menu, but the game's going to stay the same. Anyway, so there we go. Any more games you've been playing recently?
No, that like I've played very little other than Dead Cells a lot of the time.
Nice.
But
it does sound very good.
I'm keen to. I think when it gets a price drop, I'll go for Divinity Original Sin 2 on the PS4, because that's out now.
I wanted to bring this up because you explained to me before why it's so fucking expensive. Why is it so expensive?
Well, they've redesigned it from the ground up.
But it never seems to drop in price. Like,
no.
I don't know who the publisher is or whatever, but
it starts off through Kickstarter. So effectively, I think they try and milk as much money as possible. But it's very much a labour of love, and I think because it's not. It's not one of those games that's going to sell like 1 million copies or whatever.
Because I saw it appeared on the PlayStation Store. It's an 18-month-old game. And it's still 50 quid. I was like, whew.
But bear in mind, they've redone it from the ground up for the console. So the console interaction will be much better than the first one.
Nice.
And also, they've changed bits of the plot and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. I will be tempted. I think it'd be great fun for all of us to be playing it together.
I must admit, I bought the first one for about 20 quid about a year after it came out. So maybe in a year's time, it will be 20 quid or whatever. Yeah. So, but there's a huge amount of content in there.
Well, there definitely is, because I enjoyed it on PC, but we never really got deep into it because we couldn't get together enough to play it.
Well, even then, when I was playing it single player, and I got through about 20, 25 hours of it. And
nice.
That was not even 10% of the game. So.
If we could get 4 of us regularly playing that, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I agree, although we'll probably have to give up our jobs and stuff. So.
That is true. Right, we're going to take a very little break, and then after the break, I'm going to resurrect an old section of the show.
Is it a quiz? Because I'm going to have an advantage.
It's not a quiz.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a moment. That is right. We've been playing Overwatch again.
We have, yeah.
And it's been really good.
I've really enjoyed it.
I don't know, like we had a bit of a bad time. We had a bad trot for a while. We were playing competitive because we were deep into competitive. Then we started losing a lot of competitive matches, and it just became a little bit of a frustration. And the meta was getting a little bit out of control, and so we kind of just moved away. And there were loads of other games and stuff.
I think it's that thing, familiarity breeding contempt.
Yeah.
Where,
yeah.
like, think about your favourite food. If you ate your favourite food every day,
It would get a bit much.
well, apart from lasagna never gets boring. But imagine or burgers. Burgers aren't.
This is a bad analogy.
It is. Okay, let's think about something I kind of like. Well, let's say chips, like chips from the chip shop.
Yeah.
If you ate that every day for every meal, oh God, you'd feel awful after about 2 weeks. No, actually, probably about a week, maybe a few days. Anyway, but if you then took a break and you had some chips, you'd be like, these are amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Overwatch is the chips of computer games.
I think coming back to it now, you realise how much the game has changed since it first came out. But also, I think the reason that we're enjoying it again is because we're playing quick play.
I agree.
And I think the joy of that is that progression, everything else goes out the window. Yeah. You're literally, every game is an individual standalone chance to enjoy yourself.
It is.
And that is all it is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so good, because when you're only worried about having a good time, if you're in with a team you don't like, we just quit.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we don't like these guys, let's quit and we'll play something else.
Yeah.
Or we don't like this map, let's just jump out and we'll play something else. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like in competitive, you'd get dropped in with a shit team on a shit map and you'd have to endure it for half an hour and lose at the end, and you'd be like, great.
Yeah. And the worst thing is if you're almost about to win on a map that you never won and you're just like feeling quite good and then they rip you off from it.
Yeah.
Because one of your players has dropped out like a coward because he hasn't got decent internet connection.
That is still for me a fundamental flaw in the competitive stuff, and it was those. It was the community I still think is decent for Overwatch. I mean, we only know by player activity, right? Because we don't ever jump on the group chat, but you just get the feeling in quick play that everybody's there for the same reason. We're just having a bit of fun. And because the dropouts get backfilled without you even realising in a lot of cases, it's great. So you never get these big swings, you know?
And I find myself getting less frustrated. Like, you could have the worst team makeup. You're sat in the thing just going, oh, terrible. And you just go, well, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, exactly,
In competitive, you're like, oh, we haven't got a healer. Oh, no, it's going to be... I don't care anymore.
And because the games are short too, because back in competitive mode, you still only play one way, is a match. Yeah. So if you play one match, you defend and you realise it's fucked up. Okay, well, we did that game and now I'm going to quit and find another group to drop into. Yeah. And I've been really enjoying it, and I think
I like the endorsement system.
Yes, let's talk about that for a second.
It annoys me because, so after a game, you can endorse people based on good teammate, good communication, all this sort of stuff, and you can actually endorse the other team as well. We when it's me, you, and Andy, there are three of us. There are three other players. I think we should all be getting 3 endorsements from those players, because you can endorse up to 3 players.
But if you endorsed everyone in every game, the system would lose all meaning.
I do. I endorse 3 people because I hope that they're going to endorse me. But there are some times when there's 3 of you, and sometimes you do get 2 or 3 endorsements. But most of the time it's very quiet, and you don't get the endorsements, and you think, "What did I do?"
Exactly. You need to have a look in the mirror.
It's probably a poor boy who's on voice chat. He's lonely, and he sees the 3 of us, and he goes, "Oh, I hope they interact with me," and we don't. So
that is true. We'd never know, though, would we?
No, and he might be an arsehole. I don't know.
Exactly.
He might be a massive racist.
I don't want to drop on the group chat because then you're going to be.
Oh God,
the real world will be revealed to us. Yeah, and I don't want that.
I think in terms of toxicity, the PS4 would be better than both the PC and Xbox.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think that's only relative in terms of it's still not going to be full of people that would have behaviour that's acceptable in public.
That is true. Talk to me about the new characters, because I'm in a position now where basically I only play 3 or 4 characters, and I've reached a point where I'm comfortable with that. I'm just happy with that because I enjoy the game more when I'm playing those.
I'm very much the same, because I don't play any of the most recent 3 characters.
So you've got
3 of them.
You've got Moira.
I wasn't including her because I do occasionally play her.
Moira, Brigitte.
I'm going
the hamster,
Brigitte, Hammond the hamster, and Symmetra.
Oh, you're including Symmetra as a new character.
Symmetra is a new character. I used to love playing Symmetra. I have no interest in the current. No,
Symmetra. I haven't even picked her since.
She's got this giant wall. Her teleport is not as good. She only gets 3. I used to love putting all the turrets up And I just
the turrets are well OP at the minute. I think if
They
you
are.
play Symmetra, you're going to get kills.
But I don't think they're as OP as some of the characters that I like playing. Like
Orisa is strong at the moment.
I'm a fan of playing her. I'm not a fan of going up against her.
She's in a lot of games these days. You also notice that Diva is in every game now.
Yeah.
Diva's in every single game. Since they made the change where she can fly and shoot, I think that's made a big
she
difference.
takes out Farah, so it's always good.
Yeah. And she's so much more aggressive. Like you can now be really aggro, fly into people directly, which Diva never did before, really. So it's pretty cool.
I've not really got a problem with her because I'm playing Orisa, so she dies very, very quickly.
I just find I'm eating through Divas like most games.
Yeah, but it's building up your ult quite a lot.
That is very true.
But what I like is, although they've made all these changes, some of them for the worse, so Symmetra I think is for the worst. Some people will argue differently. It hasn't made her be played in, as far as I'm aware, in competitive or in
right. Okay.
in the pro scene.
Yeah.
Which is what they're trying to do, but effectively the pro scene doesn't. I've talked about this a lot. Pro scene should not be dictating how that game develops.
No, absolutely.
The game should develop for the core player base, not for the pro scene.
Yeah. I agree. It is surprising. that they're so concerned about the play numbers, but I suppose in competitive it matters because they need to make sure that things are as balanced as possible. In quick play it's less important because the comps are often fucked up anyway. Like, you often drop into games where people just don't want to play a healer, so there you go, no healer.
What annoys me is the fact that they are still dropping characters in and stuff, because I want Overwatch 2. That's what I want.
I wonder how long, because also with the loot box situation now, and the stuff that happened in, I think it was Belgium, where they agreed that loot boxes were now gambling, so they've been taken out of lots of stuff. I wonder if that will encourage them to say, well, how are we going to monetize this game for any length of time? And if we can't monetize it, we need to release another one.
Yeah. And what they need to do is it needs to be like 30 years in the future, where the younger characters are old and have different abilities, or have the same abilities but they're worse or something.
Nice.
And their children are taking over from them, but they've all got different. Like, I want to see Reinhardt's son, but he's got a really ill-fitting suit and he just can't do his things properly. Or, like, Winston has had an affair with Moira, and there's basically an orangutan there, like a ginger monkey.
That would be cool. They need to get you on the writing team over there.
Yeah, like, I'm available. Jeff?
Give Jeff a call.
Yeah. I can't give him a call. I was hoping to interact with him on Twitter. He's not on the Twit.
Is he not?
No.
Very sensible.
It is. Can you imagine the abuse he'd be
I know,
getting?
crikey.
Poor man.
So I'm really pleased that we're back into the Overwatch, because I think it's really good.
And I haven't touched Fortnite.
No, since we started playing Overwatch.
There's only one room for one multiplayer.
Like tonight, I'm thinking, oh yeah, let's get on and play some Overwatch.
Yeah,
look, we're back to that again.
I didn't do it last night because I was feeling down, but it's like, I think
we're back to it. We'll play some Overwatch. That'll make you feel better.
Oh, it will. I can be Junkrat.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheer me right up.
It's always good. So I'm really pleased to be getting back into a bit of the old Overwatching, and I think that pretty much brings us bang up to date.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
No, there we go. So it has been a pleasure, as always, Matt. It's been an absolute delight.
Yeah, it's been nice.
And we'll be back again with another edition of the Idiot Gamer podcast. I was thinking, and maybe we'll tease this now, that I'd like to do a special with you, Matt, just on RPGs and all of our favourite things.
We should get Matt Holland on for that, because we will argue.
Yeah, let's bring Matt on board for that, and I think it would be really, really cool. So keep your lookout for that, maybe coming soon.
RPG special.
Otherwise, we will catch you next time on the Idiot Gamer Podcast.